Okay. All right. So tonight's live stream is, quote, from fake covers to real corruption. This week's media deception exposed. 8/29/25. Real World Truth Matters tonight. Tonight's 10 Truths. Good evening, friends. Welcome back to Real World Truth Matters, where we cut through the noise and shine light on what's really happening in our world through the lens of truth, faith, and fearless clarity. I need to check my mic volume here. Tonight, we're diving into 10 powerful topics that the mainstream won't touch. These aren't just headlines, they're spiritual wake up calls, global warnings, and moments of divine intervention and demand our attention. From suppressed news stories to miraculous events, from political deception to ecological stewardship, we're pulling back the curtain. But this isn't just about information, it's about transformation. We're here to equip you, the watcher or the listener, okay, um, with discernment to challenge the narratives and to remind you that truth still matters. Whether you're here for the hard hitting analysis or the spiritual encouragement, you're in the right place. So grab your coffee, open your heart, and get ready because tonight we're not just watching the world, we're reclaiming it. Number one, Trump's foreign aid cancellation. I gotta make this font bigger. Hold on 1 second. If you bared with me from the beginning, then this should be nothing. Why can't I just change it right here? Here we go. That's better. All right. Thank you. So Trump used executive authority to halt nearly $5 billion in foreign aid targeting countries with questionable human rights records or anti-American policies. Second on that, the move bypassed congressional approval, citing national interest and physical responsibility. Misreporting. CNN and MSNBC framed it as, quote, reckless isolationism, end quote, ignoring the aid's destination, e.g., Gaza, Pakistan, Sudan. You know the story there if you've been watching my channel. Left-leaning outlets failed to mention that some of the aid was earmarked for regimes hostile to U.S. interests. Right. Why would we feed our enemy? Think. We shouldn't. Effects. There's three. Conservatives praised the move as protecting taxpayer dollars. 2. Sparked debate over executive versus legislative control of foreign policy. And number 3, distracted from the deeper question: should America fund nations that oppose its values? No, we shouldn't. And here's my angle. When stewardship meets sovereignty, Trump's aid freeze as a biblical stand against funding evil. So go Trump. Number 2, Minneapolis school shooting response. This is a tragedy. A tragic shooting injured multiple children. The suspect had a long history of mental illness and prior arrests. Faith-based groups immediately mobilized trauma support and prayer vigils. The misreporting. 1. Major outlets focused solely on gun control. Shocker there. Ignoring the shooter's background and community response. 2. No mention of the church-led healing efforts of the failure of mental health systems. The effects? 3 points. Reinforced partisan gun debates while sidelining root causes. Kamala, root causes. 2. Undermined local faith leaders offering real solutions. Right? Because they live in that community, I would imagine they know what to do. Just like the police in that community, they know what to do. They probably knew this person personally. 3. Ignored the role of spiritual resilience in recovery. And here's my angle. The media sees guns. God sees brokenness. Who's really healing Minneapolis? Third chapter tonight is Harris Security Detail Revoked. Revoked. You're gone. Fired. Why? Because you are no longer running for president. You were never going to become president, and you need to just stay off the stages. So, you're not the Democratic cheerleader. Stop. Expanded content. Trump revoked Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris, citing budget constraints and post office norms. Right, it's standard. Standard. Past presidents have made similar moves for formal rivals. So it's not one time that this has happened. Other presidents have done it. George Bush did. Barack Obama did. The misreporting, framed as retaliation and dangerous, with no mention of legal precedent. He doesn't need to have legal precedent. 2. Ignored the fact that Harris still has access to private security. Correct. We all could pay for private security if we wanted, right? The effects. Fueled narratives of Trump as vindictive, distracted from broader discussions on entitlement reform, ignited partisan outrage without substance. My angle. Protection or privilege. When political theater overshadows physical truth. So number 4 is California's union deal with Uber and Lyft. Shocker there, huh? The Governor Gavin Newsom brokered a deal allowing gig workers to unionize without being classified as employees. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure here in my state of Pennsylvania, that would be illegal. Apparently, whatever you want to do or say or get away with, you can do it in California. So you're free to do so there. You got to make sure. Yeah, Kristen just asked, how does that even work? Right. How does that work? That's a good question. It's a good question, Kristen. How does that work? It's called Newsom does whatever he pleases. That's what it's called. And you can't ask questions, or then you will be demonetized or you'll be sued, which I'm awaiting my lawsuit. So let's see it. Because you have to do discovery, Newsom. So think about that first before you plan on suing me. You would have to provide all your information. And I'm sure that you know, that I know, that you know, you don't want that out there. So I cut to the chase. Many drivers opposed the deal, fearing loss of flexibility and increased costs. California doesn't care about increased costs. You know, they'll build a bridge and they're like, oh, we'll build it for 1.2 million, and by the end of the project, you know, it's a almost $750 million, you know, bridge. Misreporting. LA Times, you know them, right? Real well. LA Times and NPR called it a, quote, win for workers, end quote, ignoring dissent from dissent from the actual drivers, you know, because they got their money in the pocket of these people, right? They're betting on these people, but these people are like, well, we really don't want to do this. So the LA Times and the NPR just like, yeah, it's a win. Woo woo. Okay. The effects undermined the gig in the economy's freedom model. So I guess they're going against their own beliefs or whatever over there, whatever that is. Alienated independent contractors. Shocker. Raised concerns about government collusion with labor groups. See, none of those things is Gavin Newsom or any of the higher ups in California or any other sectors are they worried about. Okay, they don't care about any of that. My angle. Freedom traded for false security. California's quiet war on independence. That's how I see it. Go ahead, call me out in the chat. Call me out in the comments below. Clip my video and make a short. I'll respond. 5. Here's a big one. And this one gets my blood boiling. Vanity Fair's fake Melania cover. Have respect for our First Lady. Number 1. Number 2. We have never disrespected any Republican, has never disrespected any other candidate's wife. Okay? There might have been questions raised or something, but we've never done this kind of crap. Respect Melania. Why? She's a very respectful woman. That's why. And she's respectable. Don't be going there throwing her out on Vanity Fair like, you know, she wants to work with you or something. Trust me. Between her and Donald, they have a happy marriage. They have everything they want. She don't need to be on Vanity Fair. Melania is doing her own thing as the First Lady, and she's doing a great job. So, thank you, Melania. Thank you. A digitally altered Vanity Fair cover featured Melania Trump circulated widely. The image was created by anti-Trump activists and spread via social media. Shocker. Shocker. The misreporting media mocked conservatives for, quote, falling for it, end quote, ignoring the coordinated smear campaign. Number 2, no accountability for platforms that allowed the spread. Who allowed it? Who hasn't taken it down? And who isn't banning the people that are putting it up? Effects. 1, eroded trust in media authenticity. Forgive me. 2, reinforced conservative claims of cultural bias. Distracted from real policy issues with tabloid drama. You know, the you go to the store and you're at the checkout line and you see like 15 magazines and it's like these weird things like with aliens and all kinds of stuff on the cover. That's the kind of that's what I think of whenever I think of libtards. Sorry, that's what I think of. It's just a it's just a big mess there. You know, they don't know which way they're going, up, down, left, right, LGBTQ plus F semicolon hashtag squared to the 18th power negative 2. You know, I don't know. So here's my angle. Vanity and deception when false images become weapons of war. What was that? What was that? War. Demonetized because I'm sticking up for my first lady. Number 6, Travis Decker manhunt. Travis Decker, suspected of killing, unaliving his 3 daughters, was the subject of a nationwide manhunt. Human remains were found, but the case revealed deep failures in mental health and law enforcement tracking. Misreporting. Focused on the horror, not the systematic breakdowns. And number 2, no coverage on prior missed red flags or community trauma. The effects. Ignored calls for family-centered mental health reform. Sensationalized tragedy without solutions. And left faith-based recovery efforts unacknowledgeable. My angle? Justice delayed, truth denied, how broken systems fail our children. Number 7, gets even warmer here. School voucher spreading in Tennessee. Tennessee's voucher program now spends more per student than public schools. The program targets low-income families seeking alternatives to failing schools. Misreporting. Framed as, quote, defunding public education, end quote, ignoring parental choice. Number 2, no mention of failing test scores or unsafe conditions in public schools. The effects. There's 3. Polarized education debates, undermined school choice advocacy. 3rd, ignored the voice of parents seeking better futures. You want to know my angle? Choose this day whom you will serve. Freedom or bureaucracy in education. Number 8, Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center Shutdown. That's right. They shut down. They shut down the Alligator Alcatraz. They did. A Florida judge ordered the closure of a controversial migrant detention center nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz. He did. Misreporting. Focused on alleged abuses, ignoring its rule in border enforcement. No mention of taxpayer investment or community safe concerns. That's what I said. So the effects. 3, undermine border security efforts. 2, ignited anti-enforcement sentiment. And 3, left Florida communities vulnerable. Because you got to put those people somewhere. They're criminals. They're killers. They're unalivers. They're like Putin. We got a bunch of Putins running around, except for their MS-13 and Trende Awagwa and, all those guys. Good guys. They're such good guys. You should just, hang out with them for a day or two, maybe. My angle? Walls of protection torn down when mercy forgets justice. 9, Federal Reserve independence debate. Trump dismissed a key Fed official, sparking debate over the Fed's independence. Critics say the Fed has overstepped its mandate with political bias. Misreporting. Framed as Trump's, quote, war of the Fed, end quote. Ignoring constitutional concerns, no coverage of the Fed's controversial pandemic era policies. Can I say that, YouTube? It's written. I wrote it. I said, I'll say it again just so we're clear. No coverage of the Fed controversial pandemic era policy. The C word we're not allowed to say. That one. Okay. It's a beer. Effects. Deepened distrust in centralized banking. Ignited calls for monetary reform. And it polarized economic narratives. My angle? Who controls the money controls the people, unmasking the Fed's silent power. And our final topic of the night, not our final segment, but our final topic, is Jack Smith probe criticism. Trump's legal team called the basis of Jack Smith's probe, quote, imaginary and unfounded, end quote. The case hinges on novel interpretations of presidential immunity. Misreporting. Focused on Trump's defiance, ignoring legal arguments, and no coverage of procedural flaws or constitutional implications. Constitution. Effects. 3. Reinforced claims of weaponized justice, distracted from legitimate legal debates fueled conservative calls for DOJ reform. My angle: truth on trial when justice becomes a political weapon. And now for my favorite part, my closing devotional, Truth in the Fire, I titled it. Tonight we've talked through 10 stories, 10 battlegrounds, where truth was tested, twisted, and in some cases nearly buried. But we know this: God is not silent in the storm. He is sovereign in the chaos. When leaders stand against funding evil, as Trump did with foreign aid, we see echoes of biblical stewardship, choosing righteousness over compromise. When tragedy strikes, like the Minneapolis school shooting, and the world sees only weapons, God sees wounds and sends his people to heal. When protecting becomes privilege and Kamala Harris' security detail is revoked, we're reminded that earthly power is fleeting, but divine justice is eternal. When California trades freedom for union control, we remember Galatians 5:1. Quote, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free." End quote. When Vanity Fair spreads deception with a fake Melania image, we cling to John 8:32. Quote, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." End quote. When the Travis Decker tragedy exposes broken systems, we cry out for restoration and trust that God is near to the brokenhearted. When Tennessee parents fight for school choice, we see Joshua's call. Quote, choose this day whom you will serve. End quote. When Florida's border protection are torn down, we remember Nehemiah rebuilding the walls, not to divide, but to defend. When the feds' unchecked power is exposed, we ask, who truly controls the storehouses? And we return to Proverbs 11:1. Quote, "The Lord detests dishonest scales." End quote. And when justice is weaponized in the Jack Smith probe, we remember Isaiah 1:17. Quote, "Seek justice, correct opposition." End quote. These stories aren't just political, they're spiritual. They never reveal a nation at war with itself and a church called to stand in the gap. So tonight we pray, Lord, give us eyes to see through deception. Give us courage to speak truth with love. Give us wisdom to steward what you've entrusted to us, to our families, our freedoms, our faith. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season, we will reap if we do not give up. Strengthen the broken, expose the lies, and raise up leaders who fear you more than man. And let Real World Truth Matters be a beacon, not of opinion, but of conviction, not of noise, but of clarity. not of fear, but of faith. In Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen. And with that being said, I thank you for watching, from my family to yours. Until the next one, stay blessed.